Hi dear students, today we are just going to learn the grammar part. It is simple, compound and complex. What our topic today is the different types of sentences. Some are simple sentences, others are compound and complex. What differences can be seen among these three? Let's go to the next slide. We will get more idea from that slides. Simple, compound and complex. Here, varying sentences structure. Different sentences have different structure. So, what are the structures of sentences? Variety to sentence structure. What we have to add? Adding variety to sentence structure. To make your writing more interesting, you should try to vary your sentences in terms of length and structure. You can make some of your sentences long and others short. Read the two paragraphs on the next page. So here we can write a matter in different ways. The same matter can be written in different ways. So here what we are going to learn is how to make your writing beautiful. So this is the way. This is some ways that I am just going to introduce to you the ways how to make our writing beautiful. Okay, so let's to go the next slide. Two paragraphs. Read the paragraphs below. Choose the paragraph that is more effective. Here in these two paragraphs I have given the same idea, but the writing is different. You see the first paragraph. I love living in the city. I have a wonderful view of the entire city. I have an apartment. I can see the Golden Gate Bridge. I can see many cargo ships pass under the bridge each day. I like the restaurants in San Francisco. I can find wonderful food from just about every country. I don't like the traffic in the city. This is the way of writing. A type of writing. This same thing is given next, but the type of writing is different. You see, the second paragraph. I love living in the city of San Francisco. I have a wonderful view of that entire city from my apartment window. In addition, I can see the Golden Gate Bridge under which many cargo ships pass each day. I also like San Francisco because I can find wonderful restaurants with food from just about every country. However, I don't like the traffic in the city. You see, some differences are here, but by this little bit differences, it is making a large difference in its beauty. You see here some examples. I have an apartment. I love living in the city. The same sentence is given here as I love living in the city of San Francisco. I have a wonderful view of the entire city. I have a wonderful view of the entire city from my apartment window. You see, here we are getting another picture. What is that? Now he is watching the city from his apartment, and through the window he is getting a beautiful picture of that city. This is the meaning here. But here he has, the person who is just talking to is only telling about this one, that he is getting a he is getting a what is that? He is getting a wonderful view. Only that he has just said. But here he has added something more to that writing. In addition, here you see in addition, I can see the Golden Gate Bridge under which many cargo ships passes each day. So adding some sentence, adding some words, some beautiful words, adding some additions, adding some commas, inverted commas, and some other material, we can just make our writing very beautiful. You see, so in these two paragraphs, out of which one do you like most? Normally a person will like the second one. See this one, because the writing is very very beautiful. Its way of writing is very beautiful, so anybody can like this paragraph, the second paragraph. Okay, so what is next? How do you vary sentence structure? Vary means here, what is the meaning of vary? Change. How do you vary? How do you change sentence structure? You will want to use a variety of sentence structures in your writing. There are three types of sentences we will study in this lesson: simple sentence, compound sentence, complex sentence. So this is our topic. What is the topic? Simple sentence. The next one is compound sentence. The third one is complex sentences. These three topics will be studied this day, because this is very important in English grammar. Using these three sentence structure, we can make very, very beautiful writing. Okay, so you see the simple sentence. First, let's go to the first topic, that is simple sentence. What is a simple sentence? A simple sentence has one independent clause. What is independent clause? What is independent clause? Independent clause has one subject and one verb. Very simple. The topic is very simple. The simple sentences. The title is very simple. It is simple sentence. So the sentence is also very simple. What is that? Here the rule of a simple sentence is this. What is that rule? The rule is this. A simple sentence is an independent clause. It has one independent clause. What is independent clause means? Independent clause means it has one subject and a verb. So if you see in a sentence a subject and a verb, that can be defined as simple sentence. Okay, so here you look at this example. I live in San Francisco. I live in San Francisco. It's a city. So I is a subject, live is a verb. You need not to look at the other one. Here, if it is one subject, if there is one subject and if there is one verb, then we can decide it as a simple sentence. This is the way of we are just deciding the simple sentence. So in a simple sentence, there must be one subject and a verb, at least a verb. So this is the way we are just deciding a simple sentence. So I think now you have got an idea about the simple sentence. There is nothing more, only this one you have to keep in your mind, that is this one subject and a verb. Okay, this is the criterion of deciding a simple sentence. Next, what we are just going to learn is that compound sentence. What is a compound sentence? A compound sentence contains two independent clauses that are joined together. Before going to learn this compound sentence, we have to understand what an independent clause is. What an independent clause? An independent clause has an independent meaning. Without relating to the second one, without connecting to the second one, this first sentence itself has a meaning. So that is an independent sentence. Some sentence we cannot get the meaning alone from that sentence itself. We will have to connect that one into another one. Then only we will get the meaning of that sentence. This is not an independent sentence. Such type of sentence will not be independent sentence. An independent sentence will be there because if a sentence is having the same meaning without depending other sentence, is known as an independent sentence. For example, you look at here, she works in the city. We know the meaning of this one. She works in the city. She lives in the suburbs. This also is having the meaning. But another word has just put in between these two sentences. What is that but? You look at here. She works in the city, but she lives in the suburbs. For example, here we have put a comma. We have put a comma here. And after the comma, the sentence continues like this. But she lives in the suburbs. Here we have some confusion. But she lives in the suburbs. Because we are not getting the meaning of this one clearly. But is just raising a doubt in our mind. Right? Am I right? Yes, really it is making a doubt, creating a doubt in our mind. But she lives in the suburbs. Just apart from this word, just if you read she lives in the suburbs, it's okay, no problem. The meaning is clear. The same way this one also, she works in the city, the meaning is clear. So if you are getting a meaning without depending the other sentence, it is an independent sentence. Without connecting to other sentence, if you are getting a meaning or full meaning of the sentence, it is known as independent. So it is a free sentence. Independent is a free sentence. But here you see, but she lives in the suburbs, we are not getting the full meaning. We are not getting the real meaning. We have some doubt here. Why they are put here? Okay, but here. So this way we are just going to decide the compound sentence. So compound sentence, what is here next? Compound sentence contains two independent clauses. There are two independent clauses that are joined together. So here this is the first independent clause, this is the second independent clause, but these two independent clauses have been joined using this the word but. So this is a compound sentence. So in compound sentence there will be two independent clauses connecting with a but contains two independent clauses that are joined together. Here but, we just have added the but. So this is the way we can understand whether it is compound sentence or not. Next, you can make a compound sentence by joining two logically related independent clauses by using a semicolon, a coordinating conjunction, a transition. So to make a compound sentence, we must use any of these three. What is that? Using a semicolon, we can make a compound sentence. Using a coordinating conjunction, we can use a compound sentence. And using a transition also, we can make a compound sentence. This is the way we are making compound sentence. What is that? Using semicolon. Semicolon, you know that this one is semicolon. A dot and a comma. This is semicolon. Independent clause. What is this? Independent clause is here. Then it comes semicolon. Again independent clause comes. So in between these two independent clause, there is a comma. We already told in the previous slide. What was that? Using a semicolon, we can make compound sentence. Also coordinating conjunction, using coordinating conjunction, and also using transition. These three ways we can use. Using these three ways we can make compound sentence. Compound sentence. So this is the first one we discussed in the next slide. Okay. You see, this is the semicolon. So using semicolon also we can make compound sentence. Here the example: I love living in the city. There are so many things to do. I love living in the city. There are so many things to do. Here, this is a independent clause. This also is a independent clause. I love living in the city. We are getting full meaning without any doubt. That is an independent clause. I love living in the city. No doubt. There are so many things to do. Here also we are getting full meaning. So these are two independent clauses, but in between we have just put a semicolon. So this will create now. This will be a compound sentence. Next, as I told you earlier, using coordinating conjunction also we can make compound sentence. Here you see independent clause, coordinating conjunction, independent clause. In the previous slide we discussed using semicolon, but here we are using coordinating conjunction. These words will be, I will tell you what these words are, coordinating conjunctions words. This will be discussed in the later slides. Independent clause, here one independent clause we are just putting and in the last also we are just putting another independent clause. In between we are putting a coordinating conjunction. So here example, you will get more idea from this example. He could not watch the show. He could not watch the show, comma, so he decided to tape it. See, tape it means record it. He could not watch the show. For example, you will get more idea. You just look at this sentence without looking at this so. Okay, we are making we are finding out the meaning of these words. This sentence. He could not watch the show. He decided to tape it. We don't have any confusion in these two sentences. He could not watch the show. The person, a person could not watch the show. So he decided to tape it. Tape it is to record it. Here you see, he could not watch the show. He decided to tape it. Some confusion will be here. He decided to tape it. But anyway, this one is a independent clause. This one also an independent clause. In between we have just added the so, which meaning he could not watch the show, so he decided to tape it. So he decided to record it. Here, after the comma, if you read the sentence alone, what so he decided to tape it, we will have some confusion. You see, if you read this way, he could not watch the show, he decided to tape it, we don't have any confusion. But at the same time, if you add the word so just before the second sentence, we will have some confusion in the meaning. So he decided to tape it. Without adding this so, we will get independent clause. But adding this so will have some confusion. However, if you just look at this first sentence, we don't have such a confusion because why? Because why? This is connected to the first one. The second sentence is being connected to the first one. So we don't have any confusion. This is the way we are deciding a compound sentence. So to make a sentence change to compound, we have to use coordinating conjunction. The first one we used a semicolon. The second way of creating a compound sentence is coordinating conjunction. Use a coordinating conjunction. Next slide. What is this? Coordinating conjunctions. Logical relationship, coordinating conjunctions. Addition. In order to add to something, we have to use and. Contrast. Compare and contrast. Like that, contrast. But yet. Using these two words, we are making a contrast. Choice. If you want to make a choice from anything, you can use or, nor. Cause. If you want to show any cause, then better the word is for. Result. If you show any result, so the previous side it is talking about a result because he could not watch the show. What is the result? So he decided to type it. This is the result. You see, so this way we can use some words to make compound sentence. Next, here I have given a trick. What is that trick? Using these words, you can remember the other words. These words are being used to make compound sentence. What is that? For, and, nor, but, or, yet, so. The first letter of these all words are given here. What is this? Fanboys. Fanboys. Just keep it in your mind. This word fanboys. From this fanboys you can understand. You can remember these words for, and, nor, but, or, yet, so. Okay. Hope you like it. Next, but at the same time you must remember you do not use a comma every time. You use the words and, or, but, nor, for, so, yet. While we are using these words, we need not to use a comma. The comma, I am not talking about the comma here, but in a compound sentence. Okay. Here I have given the comma. I am not talking about these commas, but while we are using this in a compound sentence, beware of not to use these commas. Use a comma only when the coordinating conjunction joins two independent clauses. See, it is the rule how to use a comma. Use a comma only when the coordinating conjunction joins two independent clauses. Simple sentence. For example, the necklace was beautiful but expensive. Here, since we have used but, we need not to put a comma here. Some students will make a mistake. They will commit a mistake by just putting a comma here. But you don't use a comma here because already we have used that word but. See, the necklace was beautiful but expensive. The necklace was beautiful is an independent. It is an independent clause, but no comma, not an independent clause. Here, this one is not a independent clause. This one is an independent clause because we are getting the full meaning without any doubt. The necklace was beautiful. So without this sentence, if you read this one alone, sometimes you will be confused. But expensive. If anybody is telling the word, these two words, but expensive, you don't get any idea. So this is not an independent clause, but at the same time this one is an independent clause. So if it is not an independent clause here, we need not to use comma. This is the rule. Okay. Only if there is an independent clause after the first sentence, only we have to use a comma here. Since this one is not an independent clause, we need not to use a comma. We can use but or for, so, yet, and any of these words here. Okay. Next, we are talking about next. What it is? It's a transition. What is transition? In transition also we are using independent clause first, independent clause last. In between we are using transition. Okay? Transition. For example, I love San Francisco. Here you see, I hate the traffic. I love San Francisco. I hate the traffic. So we are getting full meaning here. Here also we are getting full meaning, no doubt in meaning. So it is an independent clause. This one is also an independent clause. But in between we have used however. What is that? He loves this city. The person loves this city, but at the same time he hates that traffic of the city. You see, contradictory element is here. What is that? He loves that San Francisco, at the same time he hates that city. Why? Because there's a traffic jam. So in order to connect these two words, two sentences, we used a word that is however. So however is a transition, a change from this one to this. We are not talking about the same thing, because different thing is we are just talking about here. Here a person is loving that city, here the person is hating that city. You see, so the sentence is different. The first sentence is just transforming into negative one here. This one is a positive one, this one is a negative one. So in order to make a change, that is transition. In order to make this change, we use the word what? However. Okay, I think you got the idea. Complex sentence. What is complex sentence? All this time we talked about independent clauses. The first one also was independent, second one also was independent. Okay, but here in complex sentence, what's the difference? A complex sentence contains at least one independent clause and one dependent clause. Be very careful about this one. Okay, all these previous examples we discussed, two independent clauses. See, two independent clauses. But here in this we are talking about one independent clause and one dependent clause. Here you see, she believed in fairy tales. She believed in fairy tales. She believed in fairy tales is an independent clause. We know that because no doubt. We are getting full meaning without any doubt. So it is an independent clause. When she was younger means dependent clause because we are not getting full meaning. When she was younger, something is missed here. Something has lost here in meaning. So it is a dependent clause. Why it is dependent? It is depending on this one. This sentence is depending on the first sentence. So that's why it is called dependent clause. Okay. Without connecting to the first sentence, we will not get the full meaning of the second sentence. That's why it's known as dependent clause. But this one is independent. It is free from everyone. It can stand alone. But this sentence cannot stand alone. It is just depending the first sentence. Then only it will get the full meaning. That's why it is called dependent clause. But this one is standing alone. So it is called independent clause. It is free and independent. You see, she believed in fairy tales, independent clause. When she was younger, when she loved that fairy tales, when she believed in that fairy tales while she was younger, but now she is a grown-up lady. Now she doesn't believe in that fairy tales. Okay, so this is the example. So what is a complex sentence? See, always remember a complex sentence has one independent clause and one dependent clause. One independent and one dependent. Okay. So here when is known as subordinating conjunction. It is the word when. When is the word? Is just connecting these two things, these two sentences here. This is known as subordinating conjunction. Okay. Next, you see another subordinating conjunction is also coming here, that is until. Complex example of complex sentence. A complex sentence contains at least one independent clause and one dependent clause. Already we told you. I told you, she will go to school in the city until she finds a job. She will go to school in the city until she finds a job. It is a independent clause, but this one is a dependent clause. Already we discussed the matter, so need not to go about it more. Complex sentences again, use a comma after a dependent clause if it begins at the sentence. Here in the previous example you see, here we did not use that comma here. Okay, we did not because it was the first sentence itself was the independent clause, so we need not use. And here we just use a subordinating conjunction, that is until. But here in the next slide you see we used a comma here. Why? Because the first sentence itself was what? A dependent clause, not independent. It is a dependent clause. When I first moved to the city, I was afraid to drive the steep and narrow streets because he was not familiar. The person who was just driving was not familiar with this city, and he was afraid of driving there because the road is very steep and sometimes some places it is narrow. Okay, so here when I first moved to city, comma, because why we used comma here? We used when first itself. When, that is subordinating conjunction. When since we used the when first itself, we used a comma here, and later we just finished with a independent clause. So this is the law. This is the rule. It is very simple. You need not to worry about it. If we use this one first, an independent clause first, you need not to use the comma. If we use a subordinating conjunction first, you have to use comma. Use comma if the dependent clause is the first part of the sentence. Okay, this way also you can just decide it. If you have to use the comma if the dependent clause is the first part of the sentence. Here the first part of the sentence is dependent clause, not independent clause. So we have to use comma. We use the second sentence as independent clause. But in the previous slide, you see, in the previous slide we use the second sentence as dependent clause, first sentence as independent clause. Here is just opposite of it. So this is the way we are just deciding whether we put it comma there or not. Then next relationship, addition. For the addition we are using moreover, furthermore, in addition, besides. All these words are using for addition. Contrast, however, in contrast, on the contrary, on the other hand, also using. Result or effect, consequently, thus, therefore, in transition accordingly, hence, as a result. Reinforcement, emphasis, indeed. In order to emphasize something, to reinforce something, we are using these words, indeed or in fact. Exemplification, for examples. In order to cite some example, we are using these words. For example, for instance, in particular. All these words are using for exemplification. Time. If you want to mention any time, for denoting the time, mentioning the time, we are using these three words. What are they? Meanwhile, the same one, at the same time. It means at the same time. Subsequently, after, thereafter, after. These three words are using for time. Reinforcement, indeed, in fact, already we discussed. Exemplification, for example, for instance, in particular. Okay. So these are the things we discussed here. Nothing more. It's very easy if you go through it once again. Or if you have any doubt, please ask me. Anyway, thanks for watching and wish you good luck. Goodbye.